Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, February the 4th. We're going to cover Tuesday's short four-game slate, go position by position, just talk about the plays that stand out to me the most, looking at this slate on Monday night. These are my first looks. Just kind of want to give my early thoughts, who I'm targeting on Tuesday, who I like. I will have a lot of updated content over on Patreon. I do post these first look videos the night before. But during the day Tuesday, I will be putting up content on Patreon. I'll have my article up in the afternoon for this slate, highlighting all my favorite plays at each position, going in depth on why I like them. I will also give updated core plays over on Patreon after we get some injury news, because there are some injuries we need to watch heading into Tuesday's slate. And I do have a Discord chat that you can join as well that is available for Patreon members. So you can check out my Patreon link down below if you do want to get access to all of my updated content. I do still appreciate all you guys' support. Even if you're not like a Patreon subscriber, I still appreciate all your guys' support on YouTube. My channel continues to grow every day, getting new subscribers. I just can't thank you guys enough. So thank you to everyone who has watched these YouTube videos, whether you're a first timer, whether you're someone that comes back regularly. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And if you're a Patreon member and you're watching this video, I thank you guys as well for supporting my Patreon content. Before we get into today's slate, guys, as always, I would appreciate if you would drop a like, subscribe if you are new. You can click that notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow me on Twitter, link down below. I'm very active over on Twitter. If you ever need to contact me, message me, you can do so over there. At DFS by Noah is my Twitter handle. But starting off at point guard for today's four-game slate, we have James Harden at the top. $12K on DraftKings. He's very expensive, but we already know that Russell Westbrook is doubtful for today, which is going to make Harden the best play on the slate, and it's really not even close. I'm going to be jamming him in. I'm going to try and find a way to fit him in. He's expensive, but I think he's worth the price tag. On Yahoo, he is clearly the top stud for me. Maybe Giannis at the same salary, you could argue, is a guy you could pivot to in tournaments. With how soft Yahoo's pricing is, like you could probably get Harden and Giannis together. LeBron, I'm a big LeBron fan, but he's nowhere on the level of Harden or Giannis for me today. Even with how well Damian Lillard's playing, like I'm still going to play Harden or Giannis over Lillard. So really want to try and build around Harden with Russell Westbrook expect to be out. We can take a look at the numbers this season with Westbrook off the floor. You guys know this. Harden is going to just see a massive boost. He's already a fantasy monster, but when you take Westbrook off the floor, the dude has nearly a 46% usage rate. 45% assist percentage, averaging 1.8 fantasy points per minute. Those are just absolutely elite numbers. His usage rate jumps nearly 9%, 0.21 fantasy points per minute more. I don't need to tell you this. James Harden's a great play today. This Hornets defense, they're going to have no chance guarding him. Like, if you look at defensive rating this season, the Hornets are 27th in defensive rating. They really have no good defenders. Harden should be able to have his way in this matchup. I think the only way that he disappoints today, I wouldn't even say he can disappoint. Like, the Rockets are big favorites. They're 14-point favorites right now. But if they blow out the Hornets, it's going to be because of James Harden. It's going to be because James Harden has 70 points and he's just doing everything himself. I don't see the Rockets blowing out the Hornets today without James Harden putting up a monster line. So I think Harden is incredibly safe. His ceiling is obviously incredibly high as well if this game can stay close. And like I said, even if it blows out, it's likely that Harden is the big reason why, and he still put up probably 65, 70 DK points even in a blowout. But we've seen, like, even in blowouts, Harden will still be out there up 30 points with 5-6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. D'Antoni will still have him out there. So I think Harden is an elite play today, and I don't really need to tell you that. But then you have guys like Dame Lillard, LeBron we could target. So Lillard has just been on an absolute heater as of late, playing at an just incredibly high level. You look at his game log. I know game log isn't everything, but 92, 70, 84, 70, 82, 79 DraftKings points just the last 6 games for Damian Lillard. He's 10,300. He's very expensive. This is normally not a price tag we pay for Lillard. Normally he's like an 85 to 9K player. With how well he's been playing recently, he should be this expensive. But I still don't know if I'm going out of my way to play Damian Lillard today. On the road against Denver, like, this just doesn't feel like a great spot. If he continues to put up monster lines, then so be it. But I have a feeling I'm going to be spending for spending for Harden today. And honestly, if I can get to Giannis, I think I'd rather play Giannis in an incredibly fast-paced game against the Pelicans that has a 245 total right now. Like, if people are going to chase the Damian Lillard heater that he's been on, like, I'm just going to avoid that. I'll play guys like James Harden. I'll play Giannis. I mean, I'd probably rather play Lillard over LeBron. I'd still take Jokic, though, over Lillard. I just don't buy into this Damian Lillard heater. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a great player, obviously, but he's not going to put up 70 to 80 DraftKings points every night. Like, he hasn't turned into James Harden. I mean, Lillard's an excellent player, but the heater that he's on right now, it's going to come to an end eventually. There's going to be nights where he disappoints and puts up like 45 to 50 DK points, and obviously at 10,300, like, you're obviously going to be very disappointed at that salary. So, especially if Damian Lillard gets a lot of ownership today, like on a 4-game slate, that'll be how I get different. I'll just avoid Damian Lillard. I'll go to guys like Harden, Giannis, Jokic. Those are the studs I'd rather play today. Plus, we do have a lot of good mid-range options at point guard. Like, there is some standout plays here. I think Drew Holiday at his salary on DraftKings looks like an excellent option at 6,900. The price tag plummeted after he put up a big game against the Cavs. He was 7,900 that day, put up 57 DK points. Next slate, he was 8,100 against Memphis. Had a solid game, 42 DK points and a blowout. Only played 26 minutes. But then a really good spot, fast-paced game against Houston. He did struggle with only 23 DK points. Well, that slate, he was 8K, and now he's down to 6,900 today. Like, I love Drew Holiday at the salary on DraftKings. I know that with Zion Williamson back, with Zion Williamson now healthy and playing, Holiday's numbers take a hit, and we've seen a lot of the Pelicans guys, their usage has gone down with Zion off the floor. But Drew Holiday is still a fantasy point per minute player, still a near 30% usage player. I mean, his usage rate, I believe, on the season's at like 25 or 26%. He's going to play big minutes if the game's close. Like, they're going to give him 34, 36 minutes. This game right now has the highest total on the slate, and it's not even close. It has a 245 total. We look at pace this season. These are two of the fastest paced teams in the league going up against each other. The Bucks are first. The Pelicans are fifth. Like, this is going to be one of the best games on the slate to target. Plus, it's being played in New Orleans, which I think helps keep the game close. I think this can be a close game. Right now, it has a 6-point spread. Like, I'm going to be loading up on this New Orleans-Milwaukee game, and I love Drew Holiday at his DK salary. On Yahoo, I think he stands out as well. Looking at the point guard position, he's only $32. I think he still remains a little bit too cheap over on Yahoo, so definitely like Drew Holiday today. Hopefully, after his disappointing game last game, people are going to shy away. I'm going to be going right back to Holiday. I think he's a very good option in that mid-range at point guard. Then you have like Devontae Graham, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe. I do have some interest in these guys, but I do prefer Holiday if I can get to him. But Graham in a big-time pace-up spot against the Rockets I think is appealing. With his price now down to 6,800, like, he's definitely a guy I will look to roster at this salary, especially in a pace-up matchup like this. The Rockets, they are playing at the second fastest pace in the league this season. The Hornets, I'm pretty sure they're dead last in pace. Yeah, the Hornets are dead last in pace. So this is definitely a spot where we could look to target some Hornets guys. I think at Graham's salary now, he's definitely appealing at 6,800. And then you have like Lonzo in the same game, fast-paced game against the Bucks. Going to be a ton of points scored here, a ton of possessions. Lonzo nearly triple-double last game, 47 DK points in 37 minutes. He's took a hit as well with Zion now on the team and playing minutes and taking usage from him. But I mean, as of late, I wouldn't say it hasn't affected, but his numbers like 41, 30, 40, 47 DK points. He's still been relatively consistent. He's not putting up the 50 DK points he was putting up when like Drew Holiday was out, when Zion wasn't healthy. Now that Drew's healthy, Zion's healthy, obviously Lonzo isn't going to be putting up 50 DK points every night. But this is still a guy that possesses triple-double upside. And in a fast-paced game against the Bucks, like, I think between Devontae Graham, Drew Holiday, Lonzo, I'd probably prefer Holiday between the three. I think I'd rank Lonzo just above Graham, especially given like that game environment and the pace of play. But all three of those guys do look pretty appealing. Eric Bledsoe you could go to as well at 6,600, but I think I'd rather play Lonzo. They're going to play more minutes. Guys like Lonzo, Holiday, Graham, like these guys are going to play 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game, whereas Eric Bledsoe probably only plays like 30 to 32 minutes. Even in competitive games this season, like Bledsoe's not getting huge minutes, 32. Like, he just doesn't play massive minutes, so that's what kind of puts him behind those guys for me. Will Barton I do like as well in a big-time pace-up spot against the Blazers. He's been playing much better as of late, 48, 39 DK points the last two games. Jamal Murray does have a chance to return today. I'm pretty sure Jamal Murray's listed as questionable. Yeah, I think he's questionable. Yeah, he's questionable, so if Jamal Murray were to return, that would lower my interest in Will Barton. And this is a 9 o'clock game, so I don't know if we get the news before lock. Definitely keep an eye on that, though. Barton's still in play if Murray plays. I just would be more interested in him if he were to sit. Even a guy like Terry Rozier at 6,400 looks really appealing at his price. Just like a lot of these mid-range guards are too cheap today. I mean, CJ McCollum, tough spot against Denver, but he's down to 6,300. With how well Dame has played, it's kind of hurt CJ a little bit. Like, his ceiling is definitely a little bit capped. Less than 40 DK points in 4 straight games. Does have 2 games with 39 DK points, but I mean, at 6,300, if he gets you 39 DK points, that's pretty good at 6,300. You will definitely take that. So another strong mid-range option to go to, but I have a feeling I'm going to be targeting like this Milwaukee-New Orleans game, this Charlotte-Houston game. Like, these are going to be the 2 games I like the most. So I think I'd slightly prefer Rozier over McCollum, given the just pace of play and game environment. Between Barton or McCollum, I think if Murray's out, I'd rather play Barton, but it's pretty close. Both guys do stand out in the mid-range. In terms of value, though, there's really not a ton of value I see at point guard. Dejounte Murray, you could always take a shot on at 5K, but this is a back-to-back for the Spurs. There is a chance he does get rested. I'm not sure if he's played at all in back-to-backs this season. Oh, yeah, he did play in a back-to-back right here. I guess they are playing him, so I would assume he plays today against the Lakers. Tough matchup, but we know the kind of upside Dejounte Murray has. So he could be a guy you look to. Malik Monk always has upside off the bench, especially in a fast pace or a pace-up spot against the Rockets. But he's really hard to trust. You never know what his minutes are going to look like. So I think that's it for point guard. Let's go ahead and talk about some shooting guard plays now. At this position, DeMar DeRozan, price tag coming down since the return of LaMarcus Aldridge. His numbers have been down a little bit. Last game with Aldridge back, he played 33 minutes and had 38 DK points. That was a blowout, so that kind of limited. He lost a few minutes because of that. I mean, with Aldridge back, like, I don't want to play DeRozan when he's this expensive. Like, he's kind of a 7K player most nights when DeRozan, or when he was like a 7K, $7,500 player when LMA's healthy. Plus, it's a tough matchup against the Lakers. I think at shooting guard, just talking about shooting guards, I'd probably rather play Rozier given the savings. Eric Gordon, you could definitely look to today with Russell Westbrook out. He does see a small boost. Obviously, Harden is going to do like a lot of the heavy lifting for the Rockets. But guys like Eric Gordon do get slight bumps. Gordon, 27% usage rate with Westbrook off the floor this season, averaging close to a fantasy point per minute. I guess we could take Clint Capella off the floor because Clint Capella is also out. See if that makes an impact at all. I would expect it does because getting Capella off also like kind of frees up some rebounds, which could help guys' fantasy upside. Gordon's played 182 minutes with both Westbrook and Capella off the floor, averaging over a fantasy point per minute, 31% usage rate. Like, definitely have interest in Eric Gordon. Daniel House as well gets a slight bump. House is not as high usage of a player as Gordon is. And given that House and Gordon are similar price tags on DraftKings at least, Gordon's 5,300, House is 5,100. But I think just given the pricing, I'd probably rather play Gordon, and he definitely stands out here with Russell Westbrook out. Like, I expect the minutes to be there, even with both Harden and Westbrook healthy as of late. Like, Eric Gordon's still getting 30 to 32 minutes. Now that Westbrook's out, I think Gordon has the chance to play like 34 to 36 minutes. It's a great matchup. Although the Hornets play at a slow pace, they're a really bad defensive team. So I definitely like Eric Gordon today with Westbrook expected to be out. If we go over to Yahoo, look at the small forward position, definitely stands out as one of the better small forward options if you can't pay up for these like $30 guys. If you can't get to like Will Barton or Brendan Ingram, you have Gordon at 19. You also have Miles Bridges, who we're going to talk about. You have Daniel House you could look to. Definitely like Gordon at his $19 salary on Yahoo. But in terms of other shooting guards, Josh Hart's been getting a lot of run off the bench. Played 30 minutes last game. Was really productive. Had 34 DK points. On this slate, I think I'd rather look elsewhere. I just don't play Josh Hart when the Pelicans are fully healthy. He will get solid run off the bench. We've seen them, the Pelicans closing a lot with Zion at the 5, which has allowed Josh Hart to get into the closing lineup. Maybe he closes again and plays 30 minutes, but I think I'd rather just play some of these cheaper guys that we have. One guy I do want to talk about, this one might be a risky play, but Cody Martin at 3,500 I think is very interesting here against the Rockets. So Monday night against the Magic, we saw that P.J. Washington was out. He was questionable going into the day. I think he was probable going into the day, and then he got downgraded to like doubtful or something. I can't remember what it was, or maybe he was questionable. But ultimately, P.J. Washington did not play on Monday night, and Cody Martin, he did not start, but he got a lot of run off the bench. Played 28 minutes off the bench, and just the last few games with PJ Washington out, you've got 27, 28 minutes from Cody Martin. The production's been inconsistent, only put up 12 fantasy points against the Spurs, but he did have 36 fantasy points Monday night against the Magic. Lately, the Hornets have been running a pretty tight rotation. They ran an 8-man rotation on Saturday's game against the Spurs. They ran a 9-man rotation against the Magic on Monday night. Although Dwayne Bacon got the start, he only played like 17 minutes in place of PJ Washington. We've seen Marvin Williams start when Washington was out the first time. We saw Bacon get the start Monday night with Washington out. Given it's a back-to-back, I'm assuming he remains out, and there's a chance they start Cody Martin with how well he's played off the bench. Even if he doesn't start, I expect him to get pretty good run off the bench, probably 26 to 28 minutes. Minimum salary on Yahoo, if we go over to Draftkings, $3,500. If PJ Washington's out, I definitely like Cody Martin as a value play today. Might be a little bit risky, but I'm fine taking that risk on a short 4-game slate. These are the kind of plays that can win you GPPs, especially if they come in at low ownership. Don't know what Martin's ownership's going to be. Given that he played so well Monday night and he put up 30 fantasy points, maybe people will flock to him, but if he's going to come in low owned, I definitely like Cody Martin off the bench because I think there's upside for him. I think he's probably going to be in the closing lineup ahead of a guy like Dwayne Bacon or Marvin Williams. With how well he's played, I would expect Borrego gives him more minutes, probably 28 to 30 minutes here. And this is a pace-up spot against the Rockets, so I like him as a value play, shooting guard or small forward eligible on DK. But let's go ahead and talk about the small forward position now. You do have LeBron at the top, but against the Spurs, I don't really want to go to LeBron at 10,100. I'd rather pay up for Harden. I'd rather pay up for Giannis. I'd rather get Jokic for a little bit less. Honestly, like I said, I'd rather play Lillard over LeBron, so not much interest in LeBron. I think at the small forward position, a guy like Brandon Ingram really sticks out at only $7K on DraftKings. Ingram had a pretty good game last game against the Rockets, 49 DK points in 38 minutes. His numbers have struggled, or he struggled recently, and his numbers have not looked great since the return of Zion, since he's been healthy. But this is still a guy that's going to probably lead the team in usage, if not be second on the team in usage behind Zion. Still a 1.2 fantasy point per minute player. Going to get 36, 38 minutes if this is a close game. It's an incredibly fast-paced game where Ingram should have the opportunity to get up nearly 20 shots. I would not be surprised at all if he puts up another big double-double like he did against the Rockets. And at 7K on DraftKings, him, Lonzo, Drew Holiday, all those guys feel underpriced. I think I'd slightly prefer Holiday over Ingram, but it would be close. Both those guys look like very solid plays today. Ingram's just too cheap. This is still a guy that's going to give you 35 to 40 DK points most nights. That almost feels like his floor, and obviously there's upside for way more, especially in a game like this that should be as high scoring as this one. So he looks like one of the better small forward plays. I think Miles Bridges also stands out, especially if PJ Washington remains out. Bridges has really played well with Washington out the last few games. Washington was out against the Spurs, and Bridges did get 37 minutes in that game. Was very productive, had 39 fantasy points, and then Monday against the Magic, Bridges played nearly 35 minutes and had 34 fantasy points. He has been really productive. We can take a look at his numbers with PJ Washington off the floor. I don't know if they make much of an impact, but we'll take a look at them. They've obviously made an impact as of late because he has really benefited, been putting up very solid numbers. So let's take PJ Washington off the floor. I would expect it probably helps Bridges just because Washington's obviously a starter. He's not a high usage player, but getting him off the floor should solidify Bridges' minutes. Yeah, Bridges, 20% usage rate, 0.85 fantasy points per minute. Looking at the differential, does see a 1% bump in usage, a little bit of a bump in his fantasy point per minute average as well. This is a big-time pace-up spot against the Rockets. We've seen that Bridges has really excelled in pace-up matchups. He seems to always do well against the Wizards. That's a big-time pace-up spot. Phoenix, he did really well. Another team that plays relatively fast. The Rockets, without Russell Westbrook, I don't expect this team to be that elite defensively. Already this season, they're not the most elite defense. They're about middle of the pack. They rank 15th in defensive rating. Losing Russell Westbrook, I wouldn't assume helps that much. I wouldn't think it makes much of a difference. But regardless, if PJ Washington remains out, I expect Miles Bridges continues to get big minutes, probably 34 to 36 minutes. He can give you probably 30 to 35 DraftKings points easily in a pace-up matchup against the Rockets. So he looks like a very solid forward play today. Going over to Yahoo, he's $1 less than Eric Gordon. I think both those guys really stand out as small forward, look like two of the better options at the position, especially if you can't pay up for the top guys like DeRozan, Ingram, Chris Middleton. But I think we covered small forward. Like Daniel House, you could also look to. With Russell Westbrook out, he does get a slight bump. He's been getting big minutes as of late. Been starting with Clint Capella out. They've been starting PJ Tucker at center and then moving House down to the 4. Been productive the last few games, 27, 33 DK points. In this matchup against the Hornets, a very bad defensive team, I do like House quite a bit, but I think given salary, I would try and find the $200 to get up to like Eric Gordon or Miles Bridges. I do slightly prefer those guys over someone like Daniel House. But there's really no value that I see at small forward, like no punt plays. Cody Martin is small forward eligible if you wanted to play him here. Let's go ahead and talk about some power forwards now. So Giannis at the top, 11,400. I do have quite a bit of interest in today. I like this spot a lot against the Pelicans. Big-time pace game, fast-paced game, a game that should stay close. Those are the kind of games I have interest in Giannis, games that are expected to stay close. When he gets his full minutes, when he plays 32, nearly 34 minutes, that's when you can get the big games from Giannis. I mean, as of late, even though they've been in some blowouts recently, like Giannis has still been producing at an incredibly high rate. 54 or over 50 DK points in 9 of his last 10 games, just been incredibly consistent. We know this is a guy that gives you a very high floor. There's obviously a massive ceiling if the game stays close. Given that James Harden's playing without Russell Westbrook today, James Harden's going to be the priority for me. But I do like Giannis. If you can get Harden and Giannis together, I could totally see going that route. It's kind of tough right now because there's not a lot of like elite punt value. Like you got Cody Martin you could take a shot on as a cheap value. But there's no like sub 5K plays. Like a lot of the values kind of in the 5K range with like Gordon, Bridges, House. Those kind of guys I'm seeing for value right now. So it might be tough to go with like 2 studs, but maybe some more value could open up. Maybe some injuries break throughout the day. Right now, though, I think if I can only choose one, I'm definitely playing Harden over Giannis. AD at his salary is pretty appealing. $9,300 is a really cheap price tag for Anthony Davis. But this just doesn't feel like a slate where he's going to be a priority for me. Like anytime James Harden, Russell Westbrook, anytime these guys play without one or the other, so like anytime Harden plays without Westbrook, anytime Westbrook plays without Harden, like usually those are the guys I prioritize. So it's hard to get to some of these other studs. Zion at 7,100 I think looks really appealing at his price, along with Brandon Ingram. Like the Pelicans just as a team I feel are underpriced today, especially the guards. Drew Holiday, his price coming way down. Lonzo under 7K as well. So Zion and Ingram look like 2 of the better forward options here. House you could look to as a value. Bridges you could play here as well. PJ Tucker I do want to talk about because he is going to start at center with Clint Capella out. It doesn't seem like they're going to use Isaiah Hartenstein. A lot of us, a lot of the fantasy community, including myself, assumed that Hartenstein would start whenever Capella was ruled out, but that just wasn't the case. They've been starting PJ Tucker at center, and it's been working. He's getting huge minutes. You never know what you're going to get in terms of production, but this is a good matchup. The Hornets are not a good defensive team versus power forwards and centers. Without Russell Westbrook, that is a little bit of a bump for PJ Tucker, especially without Westbrook and no Capella. Like maybe PJ Tucker can get you like a double-double here, put up a similar game that he did in Utah with like 9 points, 10 rebounds, like 5 assists. If you can get 25 to 30 DK points from him, 4,400, he could be a value play you look to. So I'm fine with him as a cheap option at power forward if you want to go that route. But I think that's probably it for the position. Marvin Williams, we saw him start Saturday with PJ Washington out, but then they started Dwayne Bacon Monday. Who knows who they start today? It could be it could be Bacon, it could be Williams. They could start Cody Martin with how well he's played. They could start Malik Monk. We just don't really know. Keep an eye on that. 8 o'clock game, so maybe we'll get the news before lock who they start if Washington's out. Like I said, it's a back-to-back, so I'm assuming he doesn't play today. I always kind of have to keep an eye on it. Usually when guys are out on the front end of back-to-backs, they usually don't play on the second end either. But I guess that will be something to monitor. That will definitely change some of this stuff because, like, obviously, if Washington plays, I really don't have a ton of interest in Cody Martin. I think with Washington out, that has allowed Cody Martin to get more minutes, which makes me interested in him. But let's just go ahead and take a look through center real quick. We'll run through this position before we end the video. So Jokic at the top, I definitely like here against Portland. I think this is a matchup where Jokic can have a lot of success against Whiteside. These teams have played this season. They've played twice. Jokic, his minutes have been down, only 27 minutes averaged through 2 games against Portland, but he's still been very productive with 42 Draftkings points in 27 minutes. And as of late, he's been incredibly productive. No Jamal Murray, no Paul Millsap, no Mason Plumlee. That has allowed Jokic to just really really just facilitate the offense, do all the heavy lifting. He's getting big minutes right now. He's playing like 34, 35 minutes a night. this is a game you expect to stay close. This is a pace-up matchup for the Nuggets facing the Blazers, who are playing at the 11th fastest pace this season. The Nuggets, they're definitely towards the bottom of the league in pace. I'd probably still have Jokic behind guys like Giannis and Harden. Between Lillard and Jokic, like I said, I think I'd prefer Jokic, especially if he comes in at lower ownership. So Jokic would probably be like my third favorite stud today. It's going to be tough to get him in, though, especially when I'm trying to prioritize getting Harden into my lineups. And with Harden being so expensive, it might be tough to get him with some of these other stud options. Probably just going to have to get Harden in there by himself and then go to a lot of mid-range plays. Whiteside at 8,500. He's fine to go to. Not a guy that really stands out today. Like, just at 8,500, he's just kind of an okay play on a 4-game slate. Not a priority for me. Zion, I talked about him. I really like him and his salary of 7,100. I didn't talk about LaMarcus Aldridge at power forward, but he definitely stands out. Only 6,200. The price tag has come way down on him this season, or not this season, but just as of late, since coming back from his little thumb injury, or first game back from his thumb injury. He played 28 minutes against the Hornets, had 21 fantasy points, was not productive at all, but the price tag has now plummeted. I mean, he's down to 6,200. Like, LaMarcus Aldridge is not a guy that I really play that much. I don't think I've played him that much at all this season. But at this salary, in a game against the Lakers, slow-paced game, like only a 229 total. Well, 229 total is not that bad, but not the best matchup. But the price tag is so good on LaMarcus Aldridge on Draftkings, so that's what makes him appealing today. I feel a little bit better getting up to guys like Zion, getting up to guys like Brandon Ingram, but if you wanted to play LaMarcus Aldridge, I have no problem with that at all. I think at his salary, he's pretty appealing today. Brook Lopez coming off a monster game on Sunday slate where he was really cheap. Now he's up to 5,300. I'll just probably look elsewhere. Cody Zeller, I like against the Rockets, 5,200. His minutes have been pretty secure as of late, getting like 28 to 30 minutes. I think he played about 30 minutes on Monday night against the Hornets, or against the, not the Hornets, but the Magic. He got 26 minutes Monday night, 31 fantasy points. Like, he's been very productive. The minutes have been consistent. If P.J. Washington were to remain out, I think the minutes become even more secure for Cody Zeller. So he's a fine guy to go to at 5,200. Derek Favors I would have interest in, but his minutes have just been way down as of late. Just not getting 28 to 30 minutes like I wish he would. Last 3 games, 23, 20, and 24 minutes. We're seeing them close with Zion at center, which I think is going to be something they do a lot this season, if not every game. So it's hard to trust Derek Favors right now. I honestly feel better about Cody Zeller for a few hundred more. Between like P.J. Tucker and Derek Favors, obviously Derek Favors is a much more productive player, but P.J. Tucker's probably going to play like 14, 15 more minutes than Derek Favors, so it's just tough to roster Favors right now with how inconsistent his minutes are. There's just other guys I'd rather look to today. Even in a fast-paced game against the Bucks, it's just hard to trust him. So I think that's it for center, guys. I think we covered everything in this position. I think we broke it all down for this 4-game slate. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. As always, I greatly appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like down below before you get out of here. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. And if you haven't yet, you can follow me on Twitter. Link down below is my Twitter account at DFS by Noah. You can also check out all the exclusive content I do have to offer over on Patreon. My Patreon is linked down below. You can get access to my article, updated core plays, get in our Discord chat. I do post a lot of content over there Monday through Friday. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.